Okay, so I hope you can see me here. Hello, nice to see you. I'm Edgar Russ from Cremona, Italy. I'm a violin maker, and the ones who don't know who I am, I'm here already over the past 35 years now, and I'm a violin maker, and I think I could help you out in case you have a tuning problem. So my idea today was to make a short video, which is a little bit more shorter version than the question and answer, which I'm using which I used to make now here in the quarantine time every Monday, except this Monday it was on Tuesday, but this is more general problems which face people, and I saw more and more violin makers are coming with their questions about varnish and things like this. So I just this uh, Thursday issue I want to make for musicians in quarantine, blocked with the instruments, facing some problems. And so today we make the tuning issues and problems they can fix by themselves at home. Okay, and here in Italy we have to stay in our houses until 4th of May, and after that probably we will open up our workshop, but it's you have to take an appointment, and I guess it will be similar in most countries. In Austria, I heard today they're starting to open up already. So in case you have a tuning problem and you don't know, you can go to a violin maker. But right now here, the things are actually not so difficult. And if I imagine in the very beginning of my career, when there was an instrument which didn't tune, and you try to put something on and something else and something else, and it didn't work, at a certain point you come to a situation where you don't know anymore whom you should listen to and how you should get out of this problem. So I wrote here 3 pieces of paper quick in order that I have a small concept. And so now the first thing is, why doesn't it turn? And usually we're here talking mostly about pegs. Later on, if somebody else has a different issue with tuning, then please write me and I will answer, okay? So the major reason why the pegs don't work is very easy to respond, because the pegs are not used to be turned every day. So if you are somebody who is playing every 2 months, then certainly the pegs won't turn, and you will be always complaining that you cannot tune your instrument, and there will be no maker out there who can solve your problem, because the best solution is tuning every day. And another thing, because they're not used, is, for instance, that people put on some fine tuners on the tailpiece. For the E string, it's very common. So the E string is the first peg which doesn't tune very well because it's not used every day. And mostly they tune it on this. On cello players, they usually only choose as much as possible with the fine tuners on the tailpiece, and they don't use the pegs that much. It's true that on the cello, the pegs shouldn't turn that easy, since there's a higher pressure, and it should be a little bit more stuck inside, not like a violin, and it's not so high in the pitch, so that they don't have to tune that precise with the big cello pegs. But still, if you use your pegs every day, even on your cello, you will see that they turn very well. Okay. Another good reason that you cannot tune your instrument very well with your pegs is that there has never been peg dope, or peg compound as it should be called, but I always call it peg dope, on the pegs. And so if there is no paste at all, and there's only wood against wood, it's like really stuck. If you have a fresh tempered peg and you put it into the wood, you have to watch out not to push too much, because otherwise you're going to break that peg. because it's stuck so quick and so easy, especially when the cone of the peg to the tempered hole in the instrument in the peg box is so precise that it's getting in and it's you cannot even get it out anymore. Okay, so this is another reason that you cannot twist, that you cannot turn very well. Wow, we're already 10 people here. Very good. Another great issue is, and all of what I've told you right now, it just is not my issue. It's because the climate is changing from wet winter to dry spring, or from dry winter to humid summer, or from air conditioned to rainy weather, or from rainy weather to the air condition where every humidity is taken out. All these influences immediately the pegs, how they turn, because there are two pieces of wood. And wood is something which is adapting to the climate because it is made out of material which gets humidity and takes it away. So climate change could be the reason. And another reason could be very physical, and that is that the string is not in the going towards the right direction on this little part of the peg, and we will see it later on. Okay, so these are the four reasons why you cannot tune your instruments, and then we will see how you can fix it. Okay. Um, First thing, so here my second paper here, how can we fix it? Okay, and I have written down a few things. Now, I imagine that you're now desperate and you're so stuck of it, and you just want the miracle pegs, which are now inside there, and they don't have all this issue. There are some miracle pegs. They are from Ditna or precision pegs, or in America, they're the peg heads, or precision pegs. Actually, is there? If you search for that, you will find it. um, let's say less than $100, you can get four of these plastic packs. They don't look nice. The more expensive ones, you can even adapt them to a nice wooden pack, and then the shaft itself can be made out of this. Inside, there is a high sophisticated mechanical mechanism, and exactly one part is just that you have to try turn like 3, 4, 5 times here before this one in the middle is turning only once. Okay, they have to be adjusted inside the instrument. On one side at the very end, and the smaller side is just completely stuck fixed inside, and the rest then is holding the peg, and then you can twist like this, a little bit like the machine heads on a electric guitar or electric bass, or on a double bass the machine has. Yeah, and it works really great, but looks, to me, when I look at it, a little bit awful. And beside that, it's certainly, if you want, at least the violin making I'm doing is a very high-end making, and the conduction of the sound is on a certain level that I just, if I see these plastic bags, I have a little bit my concerns that, or worries that this doesn't really give the last percentage of sound to a great sounding instrument, but they work very well. And if you're playing a lot outside, for instance, and while you're playing, you have to tune, then this kind of precision packs are very good. Could be a solution once the quarantine is over. But right now, we're in big troubles, and you still have to fix your instrument by yourself, right? So, how are we going to fix it right now? So, I guess it's, if all four pegs are the same problem, very likely you have a climate caused situation. So then we will see it later on by putting something on, and then you just see it. If it's only one peg and one is really very stuck, then, or if it's the E string which is stuck, then it's because you don't use it, because you have the fine tuner. So then just get started, or start to use it every day a little bit by playing a little bit, moving it a little bit, and things like this. In order to do so, now what I say, just start using it, you won't solve your problem. So the best first stay after this video in order to solve it is that you take off the string completely, okay? Usually when I take off the string, then I always try that this wrinkled end, especially the first 2-3 centimeters, I try to bend it straight so it's easier later on to get back inside. And then I take the peg and then I just twist the peg without anything, no changing, nothing. I just twist the peg a little bit. And usually by turning it a lot, it's warming up in this hole and you will see that it starts turning well. And just continue. The more time you dedicate, the better it will start turning. And this is like using it every day a little bit. If you start it getting better and better, just continue. Sometimes I also, when I see that there is a lot of things on it, as you have might tried already to solve your problem, take also a rag and take away these things and then put back the bag, turn a little bit more, and then re-put your string and everything. The next day, try to use the peg first, taking away all the road you had turned down on the fine tuner, for instance, on the E string, and use your peg instead of being worried, oh, they don't turn and you don't use it every day and you get used to it. This is one thing. So take it off, turn it a lot, and put the string back. Now, when you put on the string back again, there are a lot of ways, and I named it already before as a last point because the string is wrong on your instrument. On your pegs. I made a nice drawing, and here you can see why I'm not a big artist here in paintings, but this here is now our violin or cello from the front, right? And this here is the upper nut. Here comes the string, and then I try to sign it very clear that this here goes from the upper nut towards the larger spot of the peg and not towards the. So if you would put this string and this one is like in this direction, the tension of the string would pull out the peg and would never keep the peg in the right position. So if you have here now the E string here like this, it's and on this painting, it's all I see. It's wrong turned. I hope you see it better than me, but you can here see very well how it should be. Okay, so the string always has to go towards the larger end of the peg. So if somewhere here is your hole where your string goes in, you have to play a little bit. Maybe you can only twist 2 or 3 times. If it's already full, then go first 1 or 2 times here, then cross the string and go to this. Important is that once it is in pitch and tuned, the string, that the string starts from the largest point towards so how you can see they all go in a different direction, okay? And this is, I would call a physical uh, uh, difference, which makes a big, huge difference, okay? So instead of, let's say here, this peg going like this, it should be like this, okay? And here on the G string now, here it's a little bit difficult. This one is for me, that's G string, okay? Instead of being like this, it should be like that, okay? Once you have this and then you tune, you will also see that your pegs are standing in one direction or another. And especially this is something when you have a lot of time and a lot of patience, then you can go a little bit more in or out with the string in order that the pegs are standing in a position that it is easier to turn, okay? Another small trick, but it helps if it's easier to keep the peg in your hand in the right distance, okay? So that's something I should have drawn before, but the pegs have to be a little bit in a distance that it's easier to keep the the pegs in your fingers. Yeah. Um, so put the strings in the right direction as well. And now, what can you do if you're now, let's say the best thing you can put on your pegs in case they really don't turn at all. Everything that Edgar was talking under in these 15 minutes right now, nothing worked. Then you take out the peg, clean it, put it back, turn again, turn her out, clean it again, go back. And so with the help of your pack, you are even cleaning the whole inside, because one of the problems is that what's on is wrong, okay? Probably with soap and everything, you just, it doesn't work. So with the pack, you just take everything out, clean it very nicely, and then you just restart building up all by itself again. And there is one thing which you can do, and that is on the peg, and those two small ring spots on the peg shaft, you put a little bit of soap, dry soap from your bathroom, never mind which flavor, and you put a little bit of soap on it. On you just, if it's the first time, put soap all around, and then if you have chalk, put chalk. If you don't have chalk, don't put all this amount of soap, okay? Otherwise it's slippery and then you're in another situation, okay? So if you have chalk and soap at home, make soap around and then put chalk. Now, the chalk, I would say a little bit half of the amount of the soap, okay? And now, when you made all around one side and the other side, and you go back in, instead of going back in and pushing like crazy, and let's see if it works immediately, calm down a little bit and just reflect how it works. It works that way that the chalk should create like small tiny balls which are rolling in this surface where the peg is inside, okay? So when you go back with your peg, just put it back and then just without pushing too much, just turn it. You have to create this ball bearing, let's call it, okay? So just go back and turn a little bit and turn, and there will be a little bit of dust coming out or going away, blow it away. You don't want to have everything white now, it looks awful. And then at a certain point, you will see it starts being a little bit more difficult, but smooth. And that's very nice. And then you have the little bit to double check if it's a little bit too much soap or a little bit too much chalk, okay? And or you adjust it a little bit with one or with another. But every time before just going back and then think now it should be great, just think of it, go back and turn, and then you see, okay? I repeat again, one of the best helps is just by turning. So if you would have plenty of time and you have like half an hour turning a peg without nothing, you will see it will turn very well. Now, another thing would be you don't have now the soap. So what could you do now? We're here in quarantine. What would I do? What would Edgar do? We only have liquid soap in the bathroom. So if I would have only the liquid soap in my bathroom, then probably from this liquid soap I would take around where it comes out, I would take a little bit of this, yeah, which is a little bit harder, and I would try to put that on, okay? Or you just put a little bit on the table on the sun and let it dry a little bit and it will become harder, and then you use that, okay? But it should be soap, okay? Um, in times like this, everybody has soap since we all have to wash our hands regularly. So this you have. Chalk is a little bit more difficult because we are not all teachers here and we don't use it that much, but it's a good time to clean up all the small jars you have somewhere in your house, and sooner or later you will find a chalk. Let's say now you cleaned up all your house already and you didn't find chalk. Then what I was thinking is, what would Edgar do? And I thought I would take probably a knife or a spoon if you don't have a knife at home, and I would scratch a little bit somewhere of the white paint of the wall, collecting it with paper, and then I would collect it, and then I would smash it, and then with a pencil like the one I have here, then I would roll it in order that I make it completely fine powder, and then I would use it because it's more or less, it's not the same, but it's more or less the same than chalk, right? And then I would take it and try to put it on this soapy surface, okay, in order that I have something similar like chalk, okay? If you don't want to put too much of soap, chalk is very difficult to put too much on it, by the way. If you don't want to put too much soap and it's a little bit too hard and you just want to adjust it a little bit, a pencil is sometimes tick, 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 a little bit of graphite is very good. And also on the upper nut, when you take off the strings, you just put a little bit of graphite is always good. Huh? But also graphite would work. Now, why didn't we continue using this system for the past years and we started to start buying peg dope is simply because the chalk is a little bit like sandpaper and is consuming the wood too fast. So the best is always peg compound or peg dope since it is more on a waxy base and it works very well. Okay. Ta 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 ta. We have all this and we have all that. So now I think this is the major issues for musicians to sound to be able to tune their instrument in a better way. Now I'm going to read your questions, 21, 22 minutes. Let's see what the questions which came in. So let me see. Tom Chan, I heard violin shouldn't install fine tuner if you want good sound. Cello should do the same. Is yes and no. It's a little bit, every fine tuner has a certain weight, and that weight is making the tailpiece a little bit more heavier, and it is shortening the distance towards the bridge. And this stands behind this system, which is true to a certain point. On the other side, if a tailpiece is too light, it would also not sound that well. This is at least my experience. So I agree with it up to a certain point, and especially on cello tailpieces. I just think if you have now, let's say the Vitna or the Acousticus tailpiece, which both are not very beautiful, but they're quite light with the integrated fine tuners. I think it's probably the best solution, and I would even say that you can play a lot with the sound as well. On a violin, certainly, if I see more than one fine tuner, I'm already complaining and yelling because I think it's just a sign of laziness and it's not really good. And then later on, people show up and want to know how to make the pegs turn better. Arian Conci, buongiorno maestro, buongiorno, come va? Arian Conci mi ha scritto una email. Sutrin, hi Edgar, I would like to ask and know how a harp tailpiece changes the sound. It's a good question. It definitely sounds like it changes the sound, but it doesn't really. There is no conclusion I could make that I say put it on and then it's better. It is changing, but it is not. But it is better. Charlie Destroyer, I hope you don't destroy me, Charlie. I have a question. Is better a violin not made from bone? I made it from bone and now tuning better. Could be that the bone is a little bit more fat inside, and so the string is a little bit slipping better. And this is probably also the reason why they put it on barrack instruments with gut strings, bone nut, so the gut is slipping better. Could imagine that this is a good thing, but once you have a nut which is in perfect shape, then I probably, it's always, the shape is more important than the material, okay? And but it could be, I never tried now a bone, but I could imagine that it is good. Jihyun Kim, is there a way where I can make my cello sound more balanced? My C string is awesome, but my G string is very dead compared to the C string. The D and A are fine, but wish I could sound nicer. Very likely something with the sound post here. But this is something we will make on Monday, right? Here we are doing about the uh, we do that on Monday. I have a Scala Perfetta. Very good. I'm glad for you. You have a Scala Perfetta from my workshop. I'm quite satisfied with it. Keep yourself from the virus. I am. I'm always home. It's 1 week ago that I went out for shopping last time. Stay healthy. You too. And keep in touch. Tom Chan, what material is the best to the tailpiece, pins, and tuner? Good question. I love boxwood, but on a cello, if it's plastic, it's light and works also very well. Stefan Voorhees, what do you think about titanium fine tuners and pins, etc. for violin fittings? Would this help for more projection? Thanks. Yes, I think so, because it is a little bit more uh, transmitting the sound better. So this is why I think it is better for the sound. Yeah, but yeah, on a certain level of instrument, it makes sense. But okay. Sam Jin, and okay, here's a question. Is boxwood a good material for packs? Yes, it is, definitely, because it also has some once it is fitted well, in the beginning it takes some more time to turn well, but once they turn well, then they turn well for a long time, and they stay just how they are. The best packs to make them turn very fine is palisander. There's some oil inside in the wood, and that makes the whole peg working even better and better. Okay, I have these heart-shaped pegs, very nice, but don't know if they are good. No, they do this work good. Just on a cello, heart-shaped pegs are not nice because this heart shape is like catching a little bit the hair, especially from long-haired, nice cellists, and they're always peaking while they're playing, and this is just pain in the neck. I've heard that rosewood tailpieces are between boxwood and ebony in terms of characteristic of sound for cello. What do you think? That's correct completely. Also, not only for cello, but even for violin. It's a little bit going on fashion. So sometimes if you have this pink wood when it's very light, isn't so nice to look at. Mm. Uh, Does a heavier instrument mean more vibrations? These are already questions we are going to answer on Monday. And today I just wanted to stay on tuning issues. Hi Edgar, Pernambuco, good for pegs, tailpiece, and endpiece on violins. Japanese like it very much, Andrea, Alexander. It's like also here a fashion going on because people think that the Pernambuco is vibrating so great. It's just very hard. So it comes a little bit close to this titanium hype. And it's a question of taste. We all want a Ferrari. And then when we are sitting in the Ferrari and you're just going over a small, tiny stone on the road, you just hear it and you just feel it in your bag. You don't really enjoy your trip, right? So, um, mm, so it's you have to find a good compromise, and especially the easiest is if you yourself know exactly what kind of sound you love and why you're playing now the violin or the cello or the viola, and what you're searching, and how do you want that people, when they listen to you, what do they receive from you. And so it's not always competing. It's not a question. You have to know how the listener, the audience is getting it to you. Is UUB wood any good? I have not tried. I think I know which one it is. I even have a fitting in my workshop, but I haven't used it yet. It looks very interesting. That's for sure. What do you think about Belgium and French cello bridges? Wow, this would be another nice video we can talk about. Belgium and French bridges, but I made a video about it, and just see this one. How does the weight of a tailpiece affect the sound? It definitely affects the sound, but if it's too light at a certain point, it doesn't sound. There's a nice article, 2 strat issues or 3 strat issues ago in the Strat magazine. It should be a A, if I think, in a tune, a very low A, and if it's far away from this low A, the sound of the tailpiece of the violin, then it's no good. So it's not that only light is good. Otherwise, people, it wouldn't be difficult to take away the sound, the tailpiece, and just have the strings immediately go around the the end pin, but it doesn't sound that nice. So you need the sound post, the tailpiece. Okay, can a wolf element affect the tuning? No, cannot affect the tuning. Is does not exist. Okay, I want to keep it short. So things are about this tuning issues. If any other questions are coming in here, ever made scrolls separately for special customers? Yes, of course, I do scrolls for special customers. Yes, of course. Yes, yes, of course. Um, we keep it like this, and what is your opinion about this technical mechanical packs? I said it in the beginning, and it could be a good solution. I just would say you relook the same video again, and then you see it once again. I don't want to repeat myself in this video. I think I covered more or less all the questions which were. In case I see that there are more questions coming about tuning issues, then I will make another video going into further details of tuning. And I would say this is it for today. And we see us on Monday with all the other questions you're having. And I can see you have already so many other questions. That's very good. And so, okay. I hope I could help somebody out there, and later on when they see this video, that they can learn how they can solve their tuning problems. All the best from Quarantine from Italy. See you next Monday. Bye bye. Bye bye. Mhm.